All right, folks should be able to hear me now. I'm going to mute people who are not muted just so we don't pick up your background noise. We've got a status conference calendar, and I got word somewhere in here, Deputy Gordon, that the two questions you have checked out. We're good. All right, our first, is Ms. Wood going to be joining us? She may be on.
She is. She's on the Zoom.
I'm here, Judge.
Great. Oh, we can see you this time. Are things better or worse, or how are things?
Better, Judge. We're very fortunate. Thank you for asking.
Excellent. So glad to hear that. Well, thank you for joining us, even in this complicated time. So just to recap for the clients who are on either in court or virtually at the status conference, I get an update from your lawyer as to whether she or he has received the discovery in this case. If something's missing, the prosecutor and your lawyer and I will talk about it, figure out what's going on. And then I'll see if we can move this case to a trial calendar if it's not working out today. And we'll go from there. The fact that your case is moving to a trial calendar doesn't mean necessarily that you'll have a trial, but it means you have not been able to work your case out with the state as of today. And I don't want us to lose track of it. I want to make sure it's moving forward. So that's next stop would be a trial calendar. Our first position is Landon Christopher. You in court, online?
Judge, I believe he's on the Zoom.
He is. I see him. I just asked him to unmute.
Here, Your Honor.
There he is. How you doing, Mr. Christopher?
I'm doing well. How you are, Your Honor?
I am also doing well. Thanks for asking. All right, Ms. Wood, do you have the discovery in this case?
Yes, Judge.
Are there accident reconstruction type things or medical records or whatever there is you feel like you've got it?
I believe I have everything. I do have medical records. I have a lot of body cameras. Miss Charles and I have been working on this case for a couple of months, and she might have something to add. I know that we were waiting on the victim to get some restitution information to us. But yes, this is ready to move to a trial calendar, Judge.
Okay.
Ms.
Charles?
That is correct, Your Honor. My last conversation with my victim, he was going to send me some information. Prior to today, I sent him an email and a text message, so I just need to follow up with him. And once I have all of those pieces, I think myself and Ms. Wood can come to some meeting of the minds on this one.
Okay, so the alleged victim in the case is not deceased. It was a serious injury, but not a death during that supposed hit and run.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. So, Mr. Christopher, it sounds like your lawyer's got all the discovery in this case. So if there are things you're curious about or you want to see, you should get with Ms. Wood because she's got it all. And she and the prosecutor are going back and forth a little bit. Sounds like there may be a financial angle to resolving the case. That's often the situation with charges like yours where someone got injured, but maybe your defense is that it was accidental. It wasn't an intentional situation, and may well be that what you did that was sideways with the laws, maybe you didn't stick around. But today isn't the day we work through all that. Ms. Wood is working on your behalf to see what she can negotiate for you. Do you have any questions, Mr. Christopher, about where we are?
No, sir, not at all.
Okay. Did you get something in the mail telling you to join the call today?
I got word from Miss Wood that it was okay to join the Zoom call instead of being in person. I was in a car accident a few months back, and I got two herniated discs, and it's hard to move around.
Okay. Yeah, virtual is fine. And it's ironic that you got in a car accident. I'm wanting to make sure, though, that we've got a good address for you, that you get things in the mail. I've got you in an apartment on Dalrymple. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
You haven't moved from there?
No, sir.
Okay. And you have Ms. Wood's contact information?
Yes, sir.
Great. Ms. Wood, do you need anything else?
No, Judge, he's good to go.
All right. We will move this case to the trial calendar then. And if it can be sorted out before then, great. If not, you will need to come into court, Mr. Christopher, when we have the trial calendar, if you haven't worked it out. So if you need some special accommodations to get down here, let Ms. Wood know that, okay?
Yes, sir, will do.
All right, you are free to go.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Marquarius Walker.
Case was not pressed, Your Honor, I believe.
Was it though? All right.
Yes.
I'm not doubting you all. There
Yes,
were,
Judge, we received it.
okay, there were a couple that trickled in, and it looks like Mr. Walker was the lucky winner of that one. Okay. Then we've got Kenley Horton next.
Surrender should be on.
Mr. Horton, you on?
Yes, how you doing, Your Honor?
All right, let me find everyone. There's Mr. Horton. We'll put him on the spotlight. Okay. And then is your lawyer around?
Yes, Your Honor, I'm here.
All right, let me find you. There you are. We'll add you. There we go. Excellent. We got both folks we need. Mr. Render, Mr. Horton's charged with one count of aggravated assault. Do you have the discovery in the case?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Okay. Anything you feel like you're missing, or from your review of it, you've got what's out there?
I believe we have everything, Judge.
All right, Ms. Charles, anything other than you and Mr. Render will be talking about the case?
We're waiting, we've referred Mr. Horton to be accountability court, behavioral health court.
Okay.
So waiting for him to be reviewed, interviewed, and hopefully accepted. And that will be our anticipated resolution of the case.
Got it. So, Mr. Horton, have you had a chance to have an interview with the folks from accountability court?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Render, are you going to be able to help make that happen? I don't know if they require a face-to-face interview or if it can be virtual, but I don't want us to get held up on that one.
Yes, Your Honor, I work with 88 Charles to make sure this is effectuated immediately.
Okay. Effectuated immediately. So you don't oppose the BHTC referral,
No,
Ms.
Your
Charles?
Honor, Mr. Render was able to provide me documentation of Mr. Horton's struggles. And so we think that's an appropriate resolution.
Would it be a plea into BHTC, or would it be a diversionary entry into BHTC from the state's perspective?
I wait to see the results of his interview. There are some things in what Mr. Render provided to me that said was unspecified. So I would like to see exactly what the extent of his issues are, and then I'll see what I'm willing to divert it or plead into.
Okay.
Account.
Mr. Render, what's a reasonable amount of time to give you to connect your client with BHTC? I know they're generally available to do intake work. I just don't remember the format, if these days it's going to be in person or if it can be virtual. But I want to make sure we keep moving Mr. Horton's case forward.
I would say 30 to 60 days, Judge, should be enough.
Okay, well, I'm going to keep it at 30. Maybe we'll put this case on an inquiry calendar rather than put it on a trial calendar, because it doesn't sound like anyone is thinking this is a case that needs to go to trial. But I don't want Mr. Horton to be without the care and support of an accountability court program if that's where this is headed. So we'll put it on an inquiry calendar about a month out, with everyone's commitment that they will try to connect Mr. Horton with BHTC. And if that hasn't happened in a month, I'm going to need to understand why, because that won't be BHTC's fault. They, I am confident, could accommodate an intake interview with Mr. Horton this week if you all can make it happen. But I know, Mr. Render, you've got more than one case. So that's why we'll set this out for 1 month to see what's happening with BHTC.
Yes, sir.
Understood, Judge.
Mr. Horton, do you have any questions about anything I talked about?
No, sir, Your Honor.
Okay, did you get something in the mail telling you had court today?
Yes, I did receive something in the mail.
Good, you're still living at the address you've been at for a while?
Yes, sir.
All right, then we will probably in about a month want to see you again. It can be virtual, that's nothing wrong with that. Mr. Render, if Mr. Horton gets accepted into BHTC and the way the state agrees is that it's going to be diversionary, then we can just take this case off the calendar. But if he has not been accepted, or what's ultimately negotiated is a plea with probation, and the condition of probation being participating in accountability court, then we'll need to get folks in here for the plea.
Understood, Judge.
All right, well, we'll see everyone in a month at the latest.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, Your
Thank
Honor.
you. You are free to go, Mr. Horton.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That concludes my business, Your Honor. May I be excused?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Next up is Tyler Montgomery. Mr. Montgomery is right here. Mr. Hood. All right. Hold on one sec. Should give Mr. Hood's your lawyer. Is that correct? Okay. I'm going to ask you to reach out to him to see where he might be. So we've already resolved your co-defendant's case, Mr. Mapp. You are here now. So I'm kind of familiar with the case because I work.
I just got a text from my lawyer like 7 minutes ago. He said he's parking. So
he's parking. Great. Take a seat. And when Mr. Hood gets here, we'll handle your situation. Okay. Thank you for being here. Position 5 is Julius McDonald.
Judge, that's my case, and I have not been successful in establishing contact with him.
All right, let's look up Mr. McDonald. So when you say establishing contact, if he's on a status calendar, he must have been arraigned at some point. It looks like in November of last year, this is your handwriting. You filled out a waiver of arraignment. So at some point you and he had connected.
Yes, Judge, and ADA Whitenauer and I had actually been talking about this case after that arraignment.
Okay.
So I did have contacted him a couple of months ago, and now it seems that that number either no longer belongs to him or is no longer in service.
Okay. And it looks like Mr. McDonald maybe was in custody for a little while because we did a production order. But when you last spoke with him, he was out of jail.
Correct, Judge.
Okay. This is listed as Ms. Charles's case. I'm seeing the charge. Maybe it's more, I don't know.
Your Honor, it would be myself, ADA Brown on the Zoom.
Okay.
Yes, Judge. The last representations I have from Mr. Whitenauer with respect to this case particularly was that he had recommended to Mrs. Wood that he was open to a BHTC resolution. I'm not entirely sure, what his situation is that it's going on, and I'm not sure if good notice went out. Can the court clarify that before the state is prompted for another request?
Clarify. What is it you need me to clarify?
Did he actually receive good notice of today's hearing?
Oh, I'm assuming so, but let's look. We make sure his address isn't the Cherokee County Jail. There is an address in the system, and that I don't, I know notice went out. Let's see, Ms. Nelson, are you looking into that too?
I am.
Okay. So notice went out in July to Ms. Wood, and she's here. That's good. And also in July to Mr. McDonald at the address he gave us. So I'm calling notice sufficient. I don't mean to leave you hanging, Mr. Brown. I intend to sign a bench warrant for Mr. McDonald.
Yes.
If Ms. Wood knows how this works, if she's able to track him down and they walk into court, we'll have a discussion about, hey, why'd you miss court? And if there is a good reason, he's not going to go into custody. But Ms. Wood has limited resources to track people down. And it may be that we next see Mr. McDonald because he bumped into law enforcement in some other context. And this bench warrant will ensure that we get him back here to work through this case.
Thank you, Judge.
Ms. Wood, anything else you want to add in connection with Mr. McDonald?
No, Your Honor.
All right. That's what we'll do. How about Christopher Coleman?
Mr. Coleman is here, Your Honor.
Great, Mr. Coleman, come up with and sit with Ms. Feely, please. All right, Mr. Coleman, you are charged with aggravated assault and having a gun, a couple other things. Ms. Feely, do you have the discovery in Mr. Coleman's case?
Yes, Your Honor, I believe this is ready to move to a trial calendar.
All right, Ms. Charles, any reason it should not move to a trial calendar?
No, Your Honor.
Great, we will do that. Mr. Coleman, you will remain on bond, subject to whatever the conditions of your bond are. Did you get something in the mail telling you to be here today?
Yes.
Great. If you move, make sure you let Ms. Feely know so she or you can get your address updated. If we send something to that address that was good for you today, and you moved, you didn't tell anyone, you heard me talking about a bench warrant with the previous gentleman. We'll have to do the same thing. The goal is to keep you posted as to what's going on. If you change your number, make sure you let Ms. Feely know because she'll try to track you down, but she can only do it based on information you gave her, okay? Any questions about anything?
No, Your Honor.
No? Okay. We'll move your case to the next available trial calendar. Are you done chatting with him? All right, Mr. Coleman, you're free to go. Mr. Byrne, what brings you in here?
Hey, Judge.
Hey,
I thought this was an in-person deal. 1:30?
what are we doing at 1:30?
I don't know, I'm on a calendar. Christopher James?
We'll look it up. Do you have a case?
Corrected?
Do you have a case number?
I do. (21) SC 178791.
That's my case. That's your case.
9:13, Judge.
Yeah, it's the status conference is the 13th of September.
Oh,
You're early.
Your Honor, this is Michael Granums. I was also here earlier for Mr. James as well. I previously had his case and I was under the impression that it was today as well. But I wanted to ask Mr. Byrne if he was going to be entering appearances in all three of Mr. James' open cases or only this one that is the aggravated battery case?
just this one, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Is it the most serious of the three?
I think two are equally serious.
Okay, in terms of allegations.
Yes, Mr. Graham's, I sent you an email. Did you get my email requesting discovery for you to transfer discovery?
Yes, and I did. I responded to that with a joint email with you and with Robin as well. And Robin is the individual who will give you the discovery. If she hasn't gotten it to you yet, you can, I'll talk to her immediately after this hearing, and you can also send her an email from that email I sent you as well.
All right, very good.
Just to level set for everyone, unless there's something funky in Odyssey, which could happen. The old case from 2019 is possession of marijuana. The newest case is possession of a firearm, and then there's yours with aggravated battery. So I would say you're in for the right one if you want to have the messiest one.
Great.
Mr. Granums, it sounds like you will be staying on for the other two cases.
Yes, Your Honor, we will continue to have the other two cases. And my understanding is that Mr. Byrne filed both a document that was an entry and a substitution. So we will be taking off this case as well.
I think that's right. And I have a clarification as to why you both thought maybe you had court today, but let me check one thing. It was entry and substitution. So most importantly, Odyssey has Mr. Byrne as counsel of record in the 21 SC case for Mr. James. That'll likely be the one that I track most closely. I mean, they'll move as a group, but I think Mr. Granums will be in the background as you and the prosecutor, Mr. Byrne, see what you can do with Mr. James's case. So here's the confusion. And I think going forward, you may be able to work through this, especially for you, Mr. Granums, because I think you will more regularly have cases in my division than Mr. Byrne, who only periodically darkens our doorway. there was set a motions hearing date for today. Had any substantive motions, substance is the wrong word, but something requiring a hearing, had anything like that been filed? So I'm looking at the scheduling order in all three of Mr. James's case, and August 8th is a date on there, but that's only if a lawyer on behalf of Mr. James had filed a motion to suppress or something like that. No such motions filed, no such calendar published. But there will be a status conference, and that looks like it's going to be on the 13th of September. And at that time, I will need both of you, virtually or in person, to be here so that I can confirm with both of you that you've got all the discovery. And I appreciate there's going to be a intra-lawyer transfer of discovery, but I want to know, has the state provided what you think you're entitled to? And is there anything else preventing us from getting Mr. James's cases on a trial calendar? So I'm sorry for the misfire, but I don't see anything in the docket that was noticed to the lawyers that you needed to be here today. But if you were following the scheduling order, that could have driven it. Okay?
Yeah, Your Honor, I want to mention Mr. James also has a fifth unindicted case, an arson in the third degree.
So you say five, I only count 3 cases. He has
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cases for him.
Okay. Are 2 of them unindicted?
Indicted and 2 unindicted.
Okay, that math matches mine because I have 3 indicted cases: a 19 SC marijuana, 21 SC aggravated battery gun case, Mr. Burns, and then a more recent, it looks like simply or only possession of firearm by a convicted felon. Mr. Granham's has the bookends, Mr. Burns in the middle, and then there are 2 unindicted cases. So you or your successor will be working with 2 lawyers, and maybe there is a global resolution for all 5 cases. I have no idea who's representing Mr. James in the unindicted cases. My guess is no one right now, because I don't think Mr. Granham's is tangling with unindicted cases. Is that a fair statement, Mr. Granham's?
Yes, Your Honor, that's correct.
Okay. Would you like some unindicted cases?
I think I'm great just where I am, Your Honor.
Okay, that's the sense I got. Okay. So a bunch of moving parts. Both of you should know, though, Granham's and Byrne, the state very much has the ability to accuse things. And so if the global resolution is, could we take care of those other 2, as long as it's not a murder case, those could be brought in, assuming one of the 2 lawyers was willing to represent Mr. James in connection with a plea to 2 additional accusations. Not a requirement, but an opportunity. That's it. Anything else, Mr. Byrne?
Judge, looking forward to September 13th. I have not filed a leave of absence, but I will be virtually and in person out of town.
Okay. So work with Ms. Nelson. I think everything to happen at once. So we'll just need to move Mr. Granham's cases as well, so that we're not, again, I want things to move in lockstep, even though it's 2 different lawyers. But if you'll coordinate with Ms. Nelson, that calendar I mentioned has not been published yet. And so we could take Mr. James off and get it on the next available, whether it's a week before or a week after. Where are you going to be?
Sullivan's Island, outside of Charleston, South Carolina.
I'm sure it's work related.
Always.
Always. All right. Thanks for dropping in. We're going to get back to our calendar. Kimberly Saxon. Hey, Miss Saxon. If you come sit with Ms. Feely. Ms. Feely works, she's law partners with Ms. Wood. Ms. Wood is your lawyer, and she is available via Zoom. I'm going to get her on the big screen here so you can see her better. All right, so you can see Ms. Wood on that screen. She can see you, I think. Yep. I'll make you a little bigger too. There we go. Ms. Wood, how are you doing with discovery in Ms. Saxon's case?
We are doing good, Judge. I had reached out to Ms. Charles last week. Ms. Saxon actually forwarded a number of documents and other potentially mitigating evidence to me last week. So I need to go through that and see what should be shared with Ms. Charles. And then once I was letting Ms. Charles know of that, she also let me know she had more for me to go through as well from her side. So I'm not sure, and I haven't had a chance to look at it yet, so she might be able to say if it's, just a few more things or if it's a lot more. If it's just a few more things, I think we can move forward to a trial calendar in this case.
Sure. So the indictment alleges assault rifle, not just a firearm, but an assault rifle. Is that your understanding of what the evidence would show?
Yes,
That is a big gun, not a little gun.
It wasn't a little gun. It was a big.
Okay, got it. All right. And is Ms. Wood, do you agree with Ms. Wood that you, Ms. Charles, have come across additional discovery that you are funneling in Ms. Wood's direction?
Yes, Your Honor. Actually, yesterday.
What's the basic nature of it? Is it more witness statements or more video? What
Video.
video?
Yes, Your Honor.
One video or multiple
There were
videos?
I can double check, but there are multiple videos. I showed it for yesterday.
Okay. Is it body cam or it's surveillance camera? Or it's interviews?
There were body cams, Your Honor.
Okay.
Yeah, let me just look a quick look. But there were body cams, I believe.
Okay. You don't need to give me the exact count. I'm trying to understand, evaluate Ms. Wood. I appreciate Ms. Wood saying, you know what? We probably could keep this on track for a trial calendar as long as you're not providing Ms. Wood with the extracts from 3 cell phones and a laptop and things where it would take a while to pour
No,
over
just
it.
when I was reviewing the file, I noticed the body cams have not been shared, and I went ahead and did that.
Okay, got it. So Ms. Wood, why don't we move the case to a trial calendar? It doesn't sound like what you have received most recently. Well, it depends what's on the body cam. It doesn't seem like that would yield a motion to suppress, but it depends what you learn from looking at the body cam. And if we need to bump Ms. Saxon's case a little further down the road, we can do that. In particular, if you end up filing a motion because of the discovery you only recently received. So maybe we'd put it on a trial calendar that is more like October-ish rather than September-ish.
Yes, Judge, that's fine.
Okay. Ms. Saxon, do you have any questions about what we've been talking about?
No, I've already consulted with Attorney Wood, so I know what's going on.
Good. And you have good contact information for her?
Yes, I have her number and I have the correct address on file where I get notices.
Well, you knew all the questions I was going to ask. Well, last question in that vein. Does Ms. Wood have good ways to contact you?
Absolutely. Email and cell phone is my
Perfect.
address.
Okay, then we'll move your case to a trial calendar. If you and Ms. Wood are able to negotiate something short of trial before then, we won't wait for the trial calendar. We'll get you in here and work through whatever that might be, okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Ms. Wood, do you need anything else with Ms. Saxon?
No, Your Honor, she's good to go.
Okay, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Granums, you being here is going to pay off. We're coming to your client now at long last. Ms. Edwards, Nedra Edwards is here. If you don't mind, Ms. Edwards, you can come either up to the podium. Why don't you come to the podium? And that way, Mr. Granums will be able to see you and you can see him. All right. I am familiar with this case because the state has been dealing with some of the co-defendants. I'm going to actually start with Ms. Charles. What's the state's plan vis-a-vis Ms. Edwards?
We would like to offer much the same as her co-defendants, offer the opportunity to have the case diverted. I did receive an email sort of indicating Ms. Nedra Edwards may have a different idea as to how that should resolve, but I can check with Mr. Grannis, but we're willing to offer her diversion on this charge.
Okay. What did Mr. Prince, I think, was the gentleman who had trouble walking.
Yes, he was the last one that we put as well in the program. And Mr. Pitts as well. DeMontis Pitts.
So is Ms. Edwards the last defendant remaining in this case?
No, we have Ronald Carter. His one is on judicial hold. I think we had.
Okay, we don't know where he is.
That's correct.
Got it. I'm just pulling up the case. So we sorted out Mr. Pitts and Mr. Prince is closed. Pitts hold. Okay, well, here's Ms. Edwards. All right. Mr. Granums, do you have the discovery in this case?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Anything you feel that's missing or you've got what you need?
I think I have what I need.
All right. Ms. Edwards, your lawyer's got the discovery. Have you and he had a chance to connect yet?
No, sir.
No, Your Honor. And Ms. Edwards, if you're available tomorrow morning, if you could come by our office at 270 Washington Street on the 6th floor, I'd be happy to meet with you and explain to you a little bit about what this diversion program means and also talk about the discovery in your case.
Is that something you, I don't know your schedule. I know you're here today. Would you be able to meet with Mr. Granums tomorrow?
Currently I work tomorrow.
Okay. What are you doing?
I work in Motel 6 as a housekeeper.
I heard you say Motel 6.
Motel 6 as a housekeeper.
Okay. All right. A particular one or you bounce from one to another?
Okay, just one location.
Okay. So you're working tomorrow. Do you have Mr. Granum's number?
I don't. When I came to court last time, I still didn't get to speak with him when I asked for a fast and speedy trial last time.
Okay. Well, let's make sure you two exchange numbers so that you can arrange for a time where you can visit Mr. Granum's. His office is like a block from here. So it's not, if you were able to get here, you can get to his office, but it needs to be consistent with your work schedule. But the sooner you and he can talk, the sooner he can get your perspective on the case. And you can understand his thoughts about what the evidence shows and what the state's offer is. Okay.
Okay, but I have just one question. By this case being going on 2 years, is it any kind of way I can just get a fast and speedy trial?
That's something to talk.
Last time when I came?
So that's something to talk to Mr. Granums about.
I can, Miss Edwards, if you have a pen, I can give you my office number now, and you could.
I'll write it down.
I only have my cell phone.
I'm gonna write it down in just a second, but let me answer the question first. So you, in April of 2021, waived arraignment. You had a lawyer. Oh, right. You had Mr. Gregory. I remember this now. You remember it very well.
I never spoke to anyone.
I understand. But on your behalf, Mr. Gregory waived arraignment, filed this entry of appearance, and then we had to deal with him withdrawing. I remember, it's clicking now. The time to file a speedy trial demand would have been back then when Mr.
I've been asking for that since I've been coming to court. I've never spoke to an attorney, but every time I stand here, I ask for a fast and speedy trial. I spoke with you last time I came, and you asked me, you was like, when will we appointed, or I would a court date. I got a court date for this court, but I also got one for a trial calendar arraignment that starts on Wednesday. So I got to come back here Wednesday for a trial arraignment.
For a different case?
This same case.
You don't have to come back on Wednesday. I'm not quite sure what that would be. I do have a trial calendar. It's actually tomorrow that we call it, and then we're picking a jury on Wednesday. But
I should have brought the paper. Well,
yeah, you should. When you come to court, bring your stuff. But I'll tell you right now, you don't need to come here on Wednesday.
Okay.
If you come here on Wednesday, you won't find me because I'm going to be in a different courtroom picking a jury with the lawyer right behind you there.
No, it's not the same courtroom that I come to, but I do come back here on Wednesday.
It must not be for this case. Is this the only case you have?
No, I have another case, but it's not in Superior Court. It's in Magistrate Court.
But that's in this building.
But it's not a trial count. This will be my first court appearance for that case.
Okay, I can't. I'm telling you is that this case, there's no trial on Wednesday. So I can't. If you don't have a paper to show me, I can't help you navigate it. But I trust you're hearing me. Don't come to court for this case on Wednesday.
Okay.
You may have other business. I wouldn't want you to miss court, but for this indictment from 2020, where you're charged with possession of cocaine and misdemeanor marijuana, that case, the only thing on the calendar was today's hearing. And we're trying to figure out what's going to go on next. I'm going to move your case to a trial calendar. So you get a slow trial. The trial will be super fast. This is a case that the state could put up in half a day. and Mr. Granums could defend it and we'd find out what happens. And that may be how it plays out. But you need to meet Mr. Granums first. He needs to show you the discovery. And then you and he can talk about what you think is a good way to handle it and what he thinks. And in the end, it may be trial. That's great. And we'll have a trial and it will last about that long. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't do it. Mr. Granums, what number should I write down to give to Ms. Edwards?
Your Honor, 404-795-2484.
And if you don't answer it, is there a voicemail box that's working on that?
Yes, there is.
All right. And can you tell me that address again? Because I'll just write it on the card.
Yes, it's 270 Washington Street, 6th floor.
What's the zip?
That would be
I mean, it's just probably
334.
0334. All right. Hopefully you can read my handwriting. And if you find that piece of paper and want to call my staff, this thing where you say you have to come to court on Wednesday, you may want to do that because I don't know what it possibly could be. But if you reach out to my staff, they could help you walk through whatever that piece of paper says. But I'm here to tell you that you don't have another court date yet for this case where you and Mr. Prince and Mr. Pitts and Mr. Carter all got arrested. Your next court date will flow from today. It'll be a trial calendar, but that'll be September or October. Okay. And because the case is so old, I just want to make sure we're not sending things to the wrong place. I've got a Newman Street in East Point.
No, sir, I just moved like a week ago. The address is 1400.
So hold on one sec. There's a change of address form that Deputy Gordon's going to give you, and I need you to fill that out. And then we'll get it filed so that you get things in the mail. So you have Mr. Bridges for a little while too. Okay. So fill that out and you can leave it with Deputy Gordon. We'll get it filed and you will get notice for your trial calendar.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Granums, anything else in Ms. Edwards's case?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Have you had a chance to, I guess it was just on Friday, I think that he was last here. You and Mr. Pritchett need to meet.
Yes, Your Honor. We're going down to meet him this week.
Okay, you're going out to the jail. You'll bring an investigator with you?
Yes, that's the plan.
Good. Okay. Will you please let Ms. Nelson know how that conversation goes in terms of whether he expresses any desire about self-representation?
I will.
He insisted to address me on Friday. I think it was Friday when you were, that's the only other day I've been around. So on Friday, he was brought over. I didn't bring him out before I excused you, but then the deputies told me he was bound and determined to speak his piece, which he had spoken many times before. And he reiterated his desire for the Lord Jesus Christ to be his lawyer. I've explained that that would have to be co-counsel and not lead counsel. But of course, you are his lawyer for now. And I share that with you only so you're not surprised. And it may be that out at the jail with just you and an investigator, he is very different. But he's been the same since he has been coming to court over the last few months. Originally, it was the sovereign citizen. How do you know my name? What's your authority? But over the last few months, it was actually, I'm ready to go forward and I know who my lawyer is going to be and it's not you or me.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
But please do let Ms. Nelson know because I told Mr. Pritchett that we'd bring him back soon to talk through that.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Did you fill out the change of address form?
I did.
Great. If you'll leave it with Deputy Gordon on your way out, don't lose that card. That tells you how to get in touch with Mr. Granums. The sooner you can meet with him, the better to figure out what's going on with your case. Okay? Anything else?
No, sir, that's it.
All right. See ya. All right. Kiana Duncan.
Judge, I believe she's on the Zoom.
Is she maybe the Alcatel Joy tab?
That would be me, Your Honor. Hello.
Look at that. All right.
I think I have it upside down.
Get you on the spotlight there. Ms. Wood, you are representing Ms. Duncan. Get you on the screen. Okay. Let me see what is, all right. Mr. Whitenauer, you've unmuted. Do you have this case?
Yes, Judge.
Okay. All right. Ms. Wood, discovery report.
I believe we have everything, Judge.
All right. Mr. Whitenauer, anything you can think of that is pending on the discovery front that you haven't gotten your hands on yet?
I'm not aware of any, Judge. I think really this is just an issue of whether the offer of diversion is going to be accepted and can be completed. I understand there's some concerns on the defense side about that.
Okay. Ms. Wood?
He's correct, Judge. And I will get with Ms. Duncan once more this week, and I'll give Mr. Whitenauer an update. And if that's something we can work out, then I'll make sure Ms. Nelson knows.
Okay. Otherwise, we should move it to a trial calendar.
Yes, Judge.
All right, we will do that. So Ms. Duncan, it sounds like you and Ms. Wood will talk a little bit more. She'll talk with the prosecutor, and if you guys cannot reach an understanding, then we'll get you into court for a trial, okay?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions about that?
No, sir.
All right. And are you living at the same address you've been at for a while?
I am.
Okay, good. So we'll keep mailing notices to that address. And if you move for any reason, let Ms. Wood know, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. You bet. Mr. Whitenauer, anything else?
That's all for me, Judge. May I be excused?
You may.
Thank you.
Ms. Wood?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay. So I've got Sonny Miller next.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Attorney Brandon Rosenbluth for Mr. Miller, and Mr. Miller is on, I believe he's listed as iPhone.
All right.
There he is, blue shirt.
Yep, I see him. He's on the screen now.
Your Honor, this is the case about a year ago. We did the bond hearing. He was a resident of New York about 12 years ago. They didn't change his address properly, left the zip code off. We had to have him come down and post a bond. And that was it.
Okay, it is an old case indeed. Who is handling it for the state?
Hi, Judge. It's ADA Brown again. On this case, Judge, the last notes that I have from Mr. Whitenauer is that this case will be null pros. I'm not sure how the court prefers that to be, given the age on this case. Is the court accepting oral motions for null pros, or does the court desire me to draft something for its signature?
If you would draft something, and Ms. Charles can get you a great go-by that has been working for this division, you may have your own. There's nothing magic other than it needs to state that the state has moved for that, and then I can take it from there. So either borrow something from Ms. Charles, use yours, get that to Ms. Nelson,
okay.
And then I'll review it, sign it, and that will close things out for Mr. Miller. Mr. Rosenblum, you may want to get a copy of that once it is e-filed and get it to Mr. Miller, and that will be the end of these proceedings. Mr. Miller, any questions about any of that?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, are you in New York now?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, got it. Mr. Rosenblum, anything else?
No, Your Honor. I will keep an eye on the docket. And Mr. Brown, let me send you my email address.
Yes.
You can send me a copy of it. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much so.
get it out to Mr. Miller so he can have it framed and keep a copy with him wherever he goes. And I thank everybody for their assistance in the matter. And Sonny, it's over.
Well, it's over once you get that copy. So sit tight and abide by the conditions of your release. Mr. Brown, is that something you can get to Ms. Nelson today?
I intend to do so, Judge, as soon as the call of the calendar is complete.
All right. Well, we only have one other matter. That's Mr. Montgomery. His lawyer has gotten here. So I think you're done, Mr. Brown.
Yes, Your Honor.
So you are free to go and work on that null pros.
Thank you, Judge.
Yep. And Mr. Miller, Mr. Rosenblum, you're free to go as well.
Thanks, Judge. And Stan Baum says to say hi.
All right. And Mr. Baum. Mr. Hood, how are you?
I'm doing well, Judge. How are you?
I am okay. So your client told me you were en route or you were parking. That's all good. We've handled half this case already. Mr. Arnold represented Mr. Mapp, who entered a plea. And now we've got your client, Mr. Montgomery. My first question for you is whether you've received all the discovery in the case.
I have, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Charles, anything, I assume there's nothing you'd be waiting on since we were able to work out Mr. Mapp's case.
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Hood, any reason why we can't move Mr. Montgomery's case to a trial calendar?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Charles, you agree?
I agree, Your Honor. Yes.
Well, let me check one thing, Mr. Montgomery, about your case. So you've got a $55,000 bond. You had an ankle monitor. You still wearing an ankle monitor?
And that's one of our issues.
Holy smokes. That's been a minute.
Get that off via consent, but that does not seem to be happening. So do we need to file a motion for that, or is that something Your Honor could hear briefly, or?
Well, let me just ask a few more questions. So you've still got a 24-hour curfew? Yes? But you're able to leave for work or if you gotta go to the hospital or something. Are you working?
No, not at the moment.
Okay. You had this bond for a year and a half, more than a year and a half. Have you been working at any point during that window?
Yes, it's just like, it's been me staying with other people and other people like, I gotta pay for my ankle monitor, then I gotta pay them rent. So it's just like, I can only come up with one really, so people telling me to move. And then holding on to a job, moving at the same time, it's kind of hard.
Okay. You were supposed to be living with your sister, Ms. Montgomery, but that's not happening, I guess, if you're bouncing from place to place. Why are you not living with your sister?
Recently, my sister got pregnant, and my mom, like, after I went to jail, my whole family left. I couldn't, you know what I'm saying? They couldn't stay down here no more. I was kind of helping them stay here. So after I went to jail, they went back to Detroit. My sister, she had a child.
Oh, I didn't know everyone was from Detroit. Okay, so your support network went back north. Okay, and Ms. Montgomery, how do you pronounce her name? Tila?
Yes.
Is she back in Detroit?
Yes.
Do you have any family here in Atlanta?
Right now, as of my auntie and my uncle.
Okay. All right. So to answer your question, Mr. Hood, maybe Ms. Charles has changed her view, but if she hasn't, we would need to, if she's willing to argue it now, we can. There's really no notice, so we would need to set it down for a hearing. I'm anxious to get Mr. Montgomery into court for his trial. And because you've got discovery and there are no evidentiary motions I need to hear, I don't see any reason why we can't fast track it to a trial calendar. But in the meantime, what have you all discussed about the ankle monitor?
Well, I'll just explain that I got the request for to take the anchor monitor off earlier today. So I was explaining to him the process for consent bonds. I'd have to run that process through before we could agree to a consent bond. And if that fails, then we can perhaps set it down for motion if you would like to hear that. But we're also discussing perhaps a resolution as well. So I think it might be better to further to a trial calendar, and hopefully we can just focus on a resolution for Mr.
Okay. Well,
Montgomery.
it's going to a trial calendar. In the meantime, Mr. Hood, you and Ms. Charles should talk about large-scale resolution. Failing that, you are welcome to, I'm just looking at the docket here. So I don't have anything in the docket that says, hey, I want to modify the bond. So file a bond modification motion, and we'll set it down for a hearing. If it's not consent, obviously, if it's consent, we don't need to drag anyone in here. I would decide whether I accept that. And if I do, I'll just sign something modifying the bond that would remove the ankle monitor requirement. Of course, the bigger picture is these charges, and Mr. Montgomery needs to deal with those. And so that's why I'll keep this moving towards a trial calendar.
Trial calendar, do we have an idea of when that would come up, Judge?
Maybe. It's not listed for one yet, but we are starting to populate the September calendars and the early October ones. So it would be probably one of those. And sooner is better as far as I'm concerned, just because this has been sitting around for a while. At least Mr. Montgomery's out on bond. We've got folks with equally old cases who are stuck in jail. But I understand his anxiety to try to get this taken care of.
And if we have to file a motion, is there an idea of when that could be heard prior to the?
It would be before the trial calendar. I mean, it wouldn't be tomorrow, but that's not a long hearing.
Right.
And so we would be able to weave it into some other calendar because your client's on bond. It's real easy just to tack it onto a calendar. We don't have to do a production order or make sure he can fit in our jail Zoom booth window or anything like that. As long as you're available, there'll be a prosecutor in here if we're doing a plain arraignment calendar or something like that. So that's relatively easy to fit in, but no fitting will happen until you file that motion. That might prompt Ms. Charles to look into whether her office will just consent to it. Then we don't need a hearing, but it'll get you that hearing.
Sounds good, Judge.
Okay. Mr. Montgomery, you have any questions? Let me make sure we've got a good address for you since you're not living with your sister anymore. I've got an address on Spreading Oak Drive.
No.
Okay.
That's my, I really didn't stay at that address. They came and got me from the address.
Okay. I need an address where we send you something in the mail saying, hey, Mr. Montgomery, you've got court in 2 weeks. It'll go to Mr. Hood. He's your lawyer. He'll get notice. Of course, he has to find you. But you should put down where you are laying your head to rest or where you get your mail. Okay? Fill that out. Don't leave till you do. And then we'll get that filed.
Judge, once he turns that in, that will complete our business, but we then be excused.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Judge.
Uh-huh. Ms. Charles, anything else on Mr. Montgomery's case?
No, Your Honor.
I think that covers the calendar. Anyone? I don't see anyone else on there. So Ms. Tucson, Ms. Jackson, thank you for your time. You are free to go. We're going to leave this Zoom open, I think. For
Judge, I'm sorry. Did I miss the announcement on, you had an add-on calendar, had 2 positions.
Really?
Yes.
Campbell and Dawson.
Okay, let me look for my add-on calendar. I'm unaware of that. Let's see.
Thank you, Judge.
Yeah, don't disappear yet. Maybe this add-on calendar is 6, please. So no one's been, so there's no add-on calendar in Outlook.
Okay, Judge, let me see. I'm not sure. It's listed over on the other side in the purple. I'm sorry.
Oh, in the purple? Okay, let me open that. Oh, these cases.
Just 2.
No, but in the purple, I looked at this, it's just warrants. It's not in there, but I have Deputy Gordon's. So let's do those. Mr. Campbell. So that's why you were sticking around, Mr. Granums.
Yes, Your Honor.
So Mr. Campbell is not here. He is in custody. This was well, I don't want to misspeak here.
I believe he's in DOC custody, Your Honor.
He's outsourced to Cobb County. I haven't listed, but I can confirm that.
Yeah, okay, I'm remembering correctly this case. He was on the verge of entering a plea and just couldn't quite get there. Ms. McCauley from the DA's office had held on to this case. And then I believe it's his girlfriend is in the wind, the female, but Mr. Hill already pled and Mr. Campbell was on the verge of pleading. I think maybe he had Corey Bowles as his lawyer, but then Mr. Bowles stopped doing C3 work and you have graciously parachuted in. And I share that with you, not because, gosh, you better plead now, but that was the framework we were in. I think the day we took Mr. Hill's plea, Mr. Campbell was there at the podium to do the plea and he couldn't make his way through it. So we just need to figure out what's next for him. Whether he is in Cobb County or DOC, he's going nowhere in the larger picture until these charges are resolved, and that runs through you.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. And if I could just ask the state, what was the offer that he was going to or tried to plead to?
I would have to go back and verify. I think there was an initial offer and during the plea soliloquy, some of the numbers were adjusted. So can I email that to you? Because I'd have to go back and confirm what the final number looked like.
His co-defendant got 20 to serve 5. It was 5 years in custody, 10 years on probation, 5 years suspended. So that is what Mr. Hill pled to. And I think they were largely similarly situated. Whether that offer is still out there, that was the offer du jour when Mr. Hill took the plea in December of 2020. I don't know if that's still there or if it was ever there for Mr. Campbell. I mean, this was all a while ago, as you can tell. But I think it was a similar situation. Is it not Ms. McCauley anymore, Ms. Charles?
It is Ms. McCauley. She told me she kept it, but if I wanted to help out with it or work with her on it, we could do that depending on what Mr. Campbell does, whether he ultimately wants to plead or go take it to trial.
Right. I mean, my recollection from the facts of the case is that it would be a long, slow, guilty verdict for Mr. Campbell, but that was the plea colloquy and not what witnesses say on the stand. So it sounds like, Mr. Granums, you need to know what the latest and greatest offer from the state is.
That's correct, Your Honor. And I'll be looking for the email. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Mr. Granums. I'll speak to you soon.
And then Ms. Nelson, if you can figure out where Mr. Campbell is so that we can get him back here, or at least.
Judge, I'm confirming that I have some reaching out, but according to the booking screen, he's in outsourced in Cobb County, but I'm confirming that also.
When you say outsourced, meaning he is a Fulton County inmate, he's just at Cobb?
Correct.
Okay. Mr. Granums, what made you think he was in DOC custody?
We have in our file, our investigator put a printout from DOC in there. I was looking for the date that she printed it and I don't see it on there, but it had indicated that he was at that he was in Johnson State Prison with a max possible release date of February 10th, 2024.
Okay. Because I've seen Mr. Campbell in the last few months. He made an appearance either virtually or physically, which would say he is in Fulton County custody. This whole outsource verb is confusing to me. It's just that he's been housed in Cobb, but he's a Fulton inmate. But we'll sort that out. If he is a Fulton inmate in Cobb, I'm going to need you to go see him and sort out what he wants to do. I'm inclined to just put this on a trial calendar and force the issue that way. Do you have a case file on Mr. Campbell, Mr. Granums, beyond the, hey, this case is mine?
Yes, I do, Your Honor. I have the file. I have received discovery from his previous attorney. As you can imagine, it's a pretty significant file size considering all the charges in this case.
Yep. Okay. Well, I think when you get a chance, I know you've got lots of cases, but when you get a chance to look at it, you will see that while it's voluminous, you'll be able to work through it pretty quickly. I don't think it's lots of complicated forensic stuff.
Okay, Your Honor, thank you.
Okay, then I'll move this to a trial calendar. You'll get an email from Ms. Charles with whatever the offer is, whether it's changed or not. And we'll also sort out where Mr. Campbell is. We'll be sure that he is available for the trial calendar.
Okay.
All right. Keep us posted about Mr. Pritchett.
I will do, Your Honor. We'll go see him tomorrow. And that concludes my business for today, if I may be excused.
Yes, sir.
And
All
Judge,
right.
the next case looks like the last attorney on it was Mr. Bridges.
Oh, so
Mr. Dawson.
we shouldn't have let Mr. Granums leave?
I was trying to chime in.
I'm not gone yet.
Excellent. You're going to need to be faster on the leave button. So let me look up this case. So it's a Quachez Johnson. Did he have notice? Was he supposed to be here, Ms. Nelson?
Your Honor, I don't see us as being assigned to that case.
It's Dawson, Judge, Dawson.
Right. I'm sorry. That's what I thought I said. But either way, did he have notice to be here?
Yes, this was a notice calendar.
All right.
Judge,
So
if I might interject, I apologize. I was just doing a little browsing on Odyssey. He changed his address with the clerk's office on July the 18th, and it looks like notice was sent out maybe before that.
Yep. Good for him for changing the address. So Mr. Granums, it may be that this doesn't become your case. I just need a little guidance as to procedure. He had, wait a minute, that's not, he didn't have Roderick Bridges. He had retained counsel. And his retained counsel, I allowed to leave. So this may not end up being even a C3 case. So Mr. Granums, you are free to go. We need to get Mr. Dawson back in here, Ms. Nelson, but he did change his address. So why don't we try again with an inquiry calendar?
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yep. So to recap from the add-on, we'll move Campbell to a trial calendar, and Dawson we have to reset for notice. Thank you, Ms. Wood. Ms. Nelson, any other secret calendars I didn't know about?
No, Judge.
All right, thank you. I think that's it then. Thank you again, Ms. Jackson and Ms. Tucson. We are calling the trial calendar tomorrow. There was the possibility of a couple pleas, but then people were stuck in Cobb County and weren't down at Rice Street. Great.
Johnson.
I'm all for please. I just wanted to, so McGuire and Johnson, is Johnson the one with 3 cases with a retained counsel? And then I know there were discussions about Adkins, and I'm blanking on Ms. Wood's client. Oh, Brown. So we'll see what happens with those. That's tomorrow afternoon. We are calling the calendar at 1:30. I just today had to set a hearing at 12:30 about Rudy Giuliani not showing up for tomorrow's grand jury appearance. So show up at 1:30, but don't be surprised if we're still in the midst of a discussion about that situation. So the cameras that may be in the courtroom, not here for you. Don't panic. I don't think it'll actually be a very long conversation. So hopefully we'll be done well before the 1:30 call of the calendar. Ms. Charles, anything else? No. Are you going to get to sit with Ms. Ocam if Hodges is what goes forward, or why give you a trial before you get promoted?
It was already set. She has a second reading.
Okay. All right. And Ms. Feely, you will be partnering with Ms. Primovic.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay. Well, I sent an email. We'll talk about that, your motion about transferring the case, just to get all that on the record after we call the calendar. And everyone's being brought over, so Mr. Hodges will be here. All right.
Thank you.
Ms. Nelson, anything else?
No, sir.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
You think he's at Cobb? Yeah, I think I don't remember what he looks like. I'm gonna pull up his picture right now. But I know we saw him recently. So I don't, I think he is not in the state system. Lots of Rule 22s, like 9. But some folks are going to get fussy at the door. WSB TV is the pool for the big camera. I signed that last week, and today all the other networks are, hey, we want to come into Fox, CBS, et cetera. And I said, you can come in, but you can't bring your big camera. And so whether they read it that way or not, who knows? And whether the folks at the door, if they let them in, they let them in, and that's fine. But only supposed to be one, and that's supposed to be WSB TV. But if others get let in because there's a Rule 22 that's signed and your colleagues aren't filtering it that way, it's not gonna give me heartburn. But I did try to keep it to one, so it wasn't like the last time we had that grand jury thing and there were like 9 cameras over there. I heard. So we'll see. But let me check out your guy. That's right. I'm just here. It's not a law enforcement thing. Well, hopefully it stays quiet. He did not have dreads when he got booked in, but it doesn't mean he doesn't now. So. All right. So I'll come out around 4. If something comes up, let me know.